Hello and welcome to my video. So in this video, I'll be talking about my AP art projects. So this video is taking me a while to edit. Admittedly, I took this AP art class my senior year of high school, which was last year, it's a whole semester of college has already passed, but I'm finally getting the chance to edit this video, and I talk about these pieces. So basically, I made 15 pieces for my AP art class, and then I had to submit them all through College Board, and I had to mail 5 pieces in particular that I was proud of, so then they can physically judge them, like instead of digitally on the computer. And so for these pieces, I got a 4 out of 5, which is the grading system was 1 through 5, and I got a 4. I'm happy with the grade, but looking back on most of these pieces, I do think I could have achieved a 5 now with my because I feel like I've improved as an artist since I have made these pieces, and so I can see some imperfections in them. So as you can see here on that first piece, I made a puzzle with my art, and that was a piece of a human face being ripped apart, or like in 2 halves at least, and then the electronics technology, it was all inside the face, falling apart or being ripped apart. And so that was supposed to symbolize how us humans are being consumed by our own creation, or like are being consumed by technology. This next piece, as you can see here, I'm using watercolor and colored pencils, and that was my favorite medium to use for these pieces. But this piece also relates to the first piece you saw. It's a girl or a woman crying technology or like electronic parts, and so the message behind this piece was the same thing. Basically, we're being consumed, and these first pieces I'm pretty proud of. These first 2 pieces, I do think that the background was a little distracting. I used chalk pastels, a bright yellow chalk pastel, which looking back on it, I kind of wish I did something different. I actually made it mixed media, and I made holes, and I sewed actual electronic parts and wires, and even you can see some screws in there too. I actually like put those into the page and glued them into the page, and that part was really fun and cool to experiment with, because the wire was weaved through the page and like sewn through the page. Metal wire was. So that was pretty cool, I think. I experimented with new mediums throughout my AP art class in this project, and these projects, I think I've grown a lot since then, and from these projects I've grown a lot as an artist. And as you can see here, I'm using watercolor again. I did try using acrylic paint in some of these pieces, but it didn't really work out. I think the realism, I could have gone with more realistic style, but I did enjoy the watercolor better because it was quicker, because I didn't have much time to do these 15 pieces either. I also think that they gave a better result, better end result, and I was more happy with the piece when it was done in watercolor and I outlined the piece. Even though it gave a more cartoony look, it just didn't look as good as it looked better than the acrylic paint, the pieces I made with acrylic paint, which you'll see later. They even recommended if you only get 10 pieces done, the other 5 pieces will be progress photos of other works, but I really wanted to get to that 15 pieces done, completely done and submitted, so I went with watercolor, which was a faster medium to work with. This piece in particular, I went with a robot standing alone inside of a city. The message behind this one also related to the first 2, but it was more that the robots would last longer than us humans. Like, our own creation would last longer than humans on this earth, and I think that it conveyed the theme pretty well. We also did have to do write-ups for AP art class. So for my write-up, I talked about basically what I'm speaking about now. The robot is alone in the city because humans, we destroyed the earth. I had to talk about like my thought process behind the piece, and my style, why I went with that style, stuff like that. Did really like the shading of where the robot's standing. I really like that one. This next piece I actually made a YouTube video about in the past before, so this was one of my first pieces I made. I started off by painting and rendering a watercolor TV on a big piece of paper, and my original plan was to put the painting of the astronaut I did inside the TV, but I didn't like the fit of the 2 pieces and the styles, so I ended up making glasses with 2 different color films, and then I drew a skeleton, a red skeleton in colored pencil, a red colored pencil, and then I did blue colored pencil of clouds, and so then when you put on the red glasses, you could see the clouds more clearly, and the skeleton would actually disappear looking through the film. And then when you put on the blue glasses, you could see the other way around. You could see the skeleton more clearly. That one was actually really fun. I think it was a pretty cool interactive piece that the audience could look through, and that one was really fun to make. This next one, I made a painting of a hand holding a gun, shooting a human, but then it was also a robot. So then the back of the human's head was robotic parts coming out the back of the head. This one, it was a little bit darker of a theme. Started off with acrylic paint, but that was actually a mistake. Looking back on it, I do wish I'd used watercolor. As I said earlier, it would have made the process a lot faster, and I think it would have looked more realistic with watercolor. The acrylic paint just took way too long, and it was too streaky. The paint was really thin, and I just wasn't really familiar with the medium enough and I wasn't confident enough to make an AP art piece out of with acrylic paint on such large scale. With limited time I had with these pieces, this piece took way too long. But looking back on it, I guess it wasn't that bad of a piece. I do still like the idea. I just don't think it was executed very well. And I would love to go back to this piece, actually. I like the idea a lot. I would love to go back to it and make it inside watercolor, but this one was a big physical piece. I think this is my biggest piece I made for AP art, and it was just electronic parts. Took a while. The human took a while. The anatomy of the human wasn't perfect either, but yeah, it is what it is. I just won't use acrylic paint for such a large scale if I expected it to be done faster. With these pieces were expected of me. And these were the last 15 pieces I made for my AP art class, and I was really happy with most of them, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.